There is a question underneath every other question, quiet enough that many people spend years avoiding it. Why is there anything here at all? Not why this mountain formed, or why this body breathes, or why one star burns brighter than another. Those are real questions, but they begin downstream. The deeper question is stranger. Why does reality exist instead of nothing? Why is there a world for science to study, a mind to ask, a life to receive? Atheism can describe many chains inside the universe. It can speak about matter, energy, evolution, and physical law. But description is not the same thing as ultimate explanation. This reflection is not meant to insult anyone. It is meant to ask whether atheism can carry the weight of the most basic question human reason can ask. Look around at the things we know best. A tree exists because seed, soil, light, water, and time came together in a fragile chain. A house exists because someone built it. A child exists because life was received from others. Even the body reading these words did not give itself existence. These things are not fake, they are real. But they are real in a borrowed way. Their existence depends on conditions they did not create. Philosophers call this contingency. A contingent thing can exist, but it does not have to exist, and it does not explain itself all the way down. Once you notice contingency, the world becomes transparent. Everything points beyond itself, as if creation keeps whispering, "I am not my own source." A common reply is simple. This thing came from that thing, and that thing came from something before it. The chain just keeps going. But a longer chain does not become self-explanatory simply because it is longer. Adding more dependent things does not create independence. If every link in a chain is hanging, the whole chain still needs something that is not hanging from another link in the same way. This is why the first cause argument is not asking for one more event long ago. It is asking what grounds the existence of dependent reality right now. An endless line of borrowed explanations remains borrowed. Infinity does not automatically turn dependency into self-existence. The argument is often mocked as if it says, everything needs a cause, therefore God caused everything. Then the reply comes quickly, who caused God? But that is not the careful claim. The claim is that whatever begins, depends, or exists contingently needs an explanation beyond itself. A necessary reality is different. It does not borrow existence. It is not assembled from parts. It does not wait for conditions to make it real. So the question is not, who caused the uncaused cause? The question is whether contingent reality can be explained without any necessary ground at all. If the answer is no, then atheism has not solved the problem. It has only renamed the mystery and asked us to stop asking too soon. Some will say the universe simply exists, no deeper reason, no final explanation. It is just the brute fact at the bottom of everything. That answer has a kind of honesty. It does not pretend to know more than it knows, but it also asks the mind to surrender the search for sufficient reason. The difficulty is that the universe looks contingent. It changes. It has parts. It has measurable conditions. It does not seem to contain necessity within itself. If the universe could have been otherwise, or not been at all, then calling it ultimate does not explain why it exists. A brute fact may be where an argument stops, but it is not where wonder stops. The heart and mind still ask why there is something instead of nothing. Another answer says that laws of nature explain the universe, but laws describe how reality behaves. They do not, by themselves, explain why reality exists. A law of gravity can describe motion, but the law is not a hand holding existence in being. A mathematical order still invites the question of why there is an ordered reality. Even if physics someday describes the earliest reachable state with astonishing precision, the deeper question remains, why is there any physical order to describe? This is not an argument against science. Science is one of the great disciplines of attention. But science works within existence. It does not replace the question of existence. Atheism often treats the map as if it were the ground. The first cause question asks why there is any territory for the map to measure. When people hear first cause, they often imagine the first domino falling somewhere in the distant past. But the classical question is deeper than that. The first cause is not merely first in time. It is first in dependence. It is the reason dependent things exist at all. If time itself is part of the created order, then the source of time cannot be just another timed event sitting before the universe like an earlier object. The cause of all contingent reality must be beyond the same dependency it explains, otherwise it would simply be one more item needing explanation. That is why believers speak of God not as a big object in the universe, but as the living ground by whom all things exist. The argument points toward a source that is not dependent, not temporary, not composed from deeper parts, and not waiting to be made real by something else. Call it necessary being, call it the uncaused cause, call it the self-existent source. The words are limited, but the direction is clear. If everything we know is received, then the final explanation cannot be another receiver. It must be the giver of existence itself. This does not yet tell us everything about God. Philosophy moves carefully. But it does tell us that a purely materialist story is too small. A world of borrowed existence points beyond itself to one who does not borrow. This is where atheism begins to feel thin. It can tell a story about what happened after reality is already in place. It can trace patterns, it can speak about forces, it can reject bad images of God. Sometimes it rejects childish theology that Christians should have outgrown too. But when the question becomes ultimate, atheism has only a few exits: infinite dependency, brute fact, or a universe treated as necessary without good reason. None of those exits feels like an explanation. They feel like a decision to stop the search before the final door. Theism says the final door is not emptiness, it is the self-existent God, the one who is not made, not borrowed, not dependent, and not late to reality. Christian faith does not leave the first cause as a cold abstraction. It says the source of all things is not less personal than we are, but more deeply personal. The Gospel of John opens with astonishing courage. Before anything made was made, the Word was already with God, and the Word was God. Then John says, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. That sentence draws a bright line. Everything made belongs on one side. The eternal Word, through whom all things were made, stands on the other. Christianity does not worship the universe. It worships the one through whom the universe receives every breath of being. This is not God hiding inside a gap in scientific knowledge. A gap gets smaller when knowledge grows. The ground of existence does not compete with knowledge. If tomorrow we learned more about the early universe, gravity, quantum fields, or cosmic origins, the first cause question would not disappear. More detail about how a painting was made does not remove the need for the canvas, the artist, or the reason the painting exists at all. God is not an emergency explanation for what we do not yet understand. God is the reason there is anything understandable in the first place. That is why faith can love truth without fear. Every real discovery lives inside a deeper gift, existence itself. The first cause cannot need a before in order to be real. If it needed a before, it would be another dependent thing, not the source. So the source must be infinite in the important sense, not one more stretch of time, but fullness of being without borrowed beginning. We struggle to imagine this because our minds live among beginnings. Every human story starts somewhere. Every object arrives through conditions. But the foundation of all beginnings cannot itself be just another beginning. The cause of time cannot wait in line inside time. The eternal God is not old in the way the universe is old. He is the one before whom the word before finally runs out of road. A good argument should not make a person arrogant. If anything, the first cause question should make us quieter. We are speaking about the edge of reason, not because reason fails, but because reason has led us to something greater than the world can contain. The believer should not sneer at the atheist. Many atheists are asking honest questions and rejecting dishonest religion. That matters. But honesty must also turn toward atheism itself and ask whether it has mistaken refusal for explanation. When the world is contingent, fragile, ordered, and intelligible, the most reasonable posture may not be dismissal. It may be reverence. The first cause argument can clear the air, but it cannot by itself make the heart worship. For that, the mind must become honest before God. You can begin with a simple prayer. God, if all things depend on you, teach me to stop pretending I am self-made. That prayer is not small. It breaks the illusion that we are independent owners of our own existence. Every breath becomes received. Every sunrise becomes mercy. Every question becomes a doorway, not merely a problem to win. The God who grounds all reality is not far from the person asking in the dark. He is nearer than the existence we keep borrowing from him. In the end, the question is not whether atheism can explain many things inside the world. Of course it can describe much, and science can describe much more. The question is whether atheism can explain why there is a world at all, why dependent reality exists, why anything is here rather than nothing. If everything contingent points beyond itself, then the most rational answer is not nothing, accident, or brute silence. It is necessary being. Christians give that necessary source a name, not because we have mastered the mystery, but because the mystery has spoken. God, Creator, Word, Lord. If this helped you think more clearly and pray more honestly, please subscribe. Quiet Grace is a place for calm Christian reflection, reason, and hope.